G'day, it's Andy Gourley, aka Boss Frog. It is my greatest privilege to be here with you today. Firstly, a bit of my background. I'm actually an accountant. I did a Bachelor of Business Accountancy at QUT, worked 7 years as an accountant. Also, I'm a pastor at a local church in Brisbane, Vegas, doing community outreach work up there to kids in local areas. Also the chaplain for the mighty Queensland Reds Rugby Union, which is amazing. And I've also been a downhill skater for 39 years. Haven't really figured out how to stop yet, just love going fast down hills. So a bit of a skateboarding pastoral accountant. But back in my uni days, and don't uni students do it tough, eh? All those 12 contact hours a week they've got to do. We should put some prayers out for those uni students really struggling out there with those 12 hours a week. But back in my day, I actually got involved with the local church in my area. And for me, I sort of, that experience is like, I relate it to like a spiritual wedgie experience where I got absolutely reefed, undies over my forehead. Whereas very much like Gourley, life's not about you, your accounting degree, your mates, your snowboard trips, your Reds memberships. It's actually about the big fella and others. And it challenged me that life's not about me, it's actually about others as well. And I got really challenged, but I thought, what could I do? You know, what I used to rock up to a church in Brisbane and see all these amazing, talented people that could sing and do music and speak. And I was going, wow, you know, what could I do or make a contribution in my world? So I remember driving down Logan Road, or we call it Bogan Road, on the south side of Brisbane, and past 7-Eleven, or 7 as we call it. And there were all these little punk skaters setting fire to these boxes down the side alley of the 7-Eleven. So as all good, you know, citizens do, I kept driving straight past. But I really felt to go back. I had my skatey in the back of the car, and I thought, I better not let these little grommies burn down this 7-Eleven at 11 at night. So I ripped my little Mazda 3D3 power around and legged it into this little 7-Eleven, stuck my head out the window. I said, boys, what are you doing? They said, oh, nothing. I said, want to go for a skate? I said, oh, that'd be awesome, man. So I piled about 17, my Mazda 3D3 power, back in the day when you could do that. I took him to a skate park in Brisbane City called Paddo Skate Park. But I started doing this every Friday night. I rock up to my park, and some nights it'd be 3 kids would rock up. Other nights 30 would rock up and ring my mates with their vans to help pick them up. We started this like skateboarding club in my local area, and there were some kids from pretty messed up backgrounds, pretty dysfunctional backgrounds, a lot of drug and alcohol issues, and they were wandering the streets at all hours of night. And you know, there were some really heavy situations with a lot of these young kids. But then after about 15 months of working with these kids, they used to get me in all sorts of trouble too, these kids. They used to like steal change out of the centre console of my car, and they used to hide their drugs at my mate's place, and I'd find their stash and hide it somewhere else. And it was getting me in all sorts of trouble. But then some of these kids started to come out of the drugs and out of the alcohol and actually get involved with a couple of youth groups in the area and getting around good environments. And it's amazing, you put young people in good environments, you get good outcomes. Put them in negative environments, you get negative outcomes. And we started to see some changes in these kids. And after another 3 years, we started 5 more of these youth clubs all around Brisbane, working with about 120 of these kids a week. But then they got to year 12. Went to that lovely, wholesome youth festival on the Gold Coast we love to call Schoolies Weeks. I actually did 2 Schoolies myself. I repeated year 12, so I could do 2. But back in my day, it was so dangerous. It was like there were people being dragged into cars, and all these gangs from the south side of Brisbane would come down and fill up long socks full of rocks and hit kids, and people being assaulted in sand dune areas and stairwells. I was worried about my boys. I spent 5 years seeing the boys come out of drugs, out of alcohol, out of all these situations. I just knew in 1 week that could be gone. All that work I did could be blown out as I get in the wrong environment for that week. So as a youth worker, I thought, I better go look after my boys. So I went down the Goldie to visit my boys. And I've actually got a bit of footage of my first visit to Schoolies Week. This is a young mini-me back in the day when I had different colour hair and a mullet. But this will explain why I give lollies to students for a living. Let's have a look at this one.
Hi, my name's Andy Gourley, aka Boss Frog. I'm here to give you the inside story on how Red Frog started. See, it all started because looking after a bunch of sketchy punk skaters up in Brisbane, Vegas, they were getting up to no good, but when they got to year 12, they all went to schoolies, and I went down to look after them. When I got down to the Gold Coast, I just couldn't believe how big it had gotten. It was schoolies everywhere. Had a tin of VB come off a building, like smashed just a metre from me. Saw a chair come off a building into a pool. Guys doing nudie runs past you as thousands of schoolies were going past them chanting, "Let's go down the road, let's go down the road." So I went to visit my boys in the hotel room, and I went to get in, but there was a massive security guard who wouldn't let me in. I was ticked, I was spewing at him. But I sort of went down the road and I thought, oh, no, I'm not letting this fella tell me I can't look after my skaters. So the next day, I went into the hotel manager and said, look, do you want a hand at Schoolies Week? And she goes, oh, that sounds fantastic. Takes me in her office and starts making me like cups of tea and scones. And then she goes like, how many friends can you bring down to Schoolies? Just to give you an idea, like her building was 400 17-year-olds. In every room there's more alcohol and grog stacked up than you could chuck your nana at. And then there's more other substance floating around than you care to mention. And like 2 security guards and 1 hotel manager trying to keep a lid on 400. So we just started crashing parties, just when it started going like floor to floor, finding kids passed down stairwells, and found this one kid passed down the lift with a bucket on his head, so we took him out of the lift, dragging him back to the units. And so there's music belting through this door, and we knocked on this door. A little schoolie peers out and goes, who are you? He said, oh, Hotel Chaplaincy. I goes, hotel what? He said, yeah, Hotel Chaplaincy. He goes, hotel security? It was a real hassle getting into the rooms, like really difficult getting in. And so we legged it down to the local convenience store, found this massive big box of Allen's Red Frogs. And we just grabbed this big box of frogs, went straight back up to this unit, knocked on this door, little schoolie peers out. He goes, who are you? I said, oh, Hotel Chaplaincy. He goes, hotel what? I said, no, mate, no, do you want a red frog? He goes, oh, red frogs, they're coming in, man. And he was yelling, we got frogs. And all his mates start coming off the veranda, grabbing handfuls of these red frogs. And I'm standing here with this box of lollies going, these things are amazing. Then went to the next room, knocked on the room, it was like the naked room. All they were wearing were pots and pans and stuff. And some big unit had a saucepan full of alcohol. He points it out, he goes, oh, drop a frog in the pond, mate, drop a frog in the pond. He had said, righto, mate, there you go. So got on the phone to our workers and said, buy the Gold Coast out of red frogs right now. Went to every convenience store, every cash and carry Woolies, and we got 80 kilos of red frogs. And they just got us into every party, just straight away. Even past the big security guards that weren't letting us in. We'd rock up, they go, where you going? Can't come in here. Mate, want a red frog? Oh yeah bro, coming in bro. And then the next year the council rang me again and said, Andy, can you bring your teams back? And they brought back 45 workers the next year and went through 220 kilos of frogs. And then next year it was 90 workers and 440 kilos of frogs. Then 130 workers the next year with 880 kilos of frogs. Then the next year 1.2 tonne of Allen's Red Frogs. And then now we've gone to 24 tonne a year through all our programs, reaching 70,000 schoolies in over 17 locations. We talk to 52,000 Year 12s in our high school education program. We're now one of the largest support networks for schoolies in Australia. It's also one of the largest support networks in universities in Australia, as well as now music festivals, sporting events, and overall our programs, it's around 1.2 million Aussies we deal with a year. Why? Because I ride a skateboard, and took some kids skateboarding 3 hours a week. And it's amazing like the power of little things, Little things over a long period of time become big things if you're consistent. People think that they can't make a difference, that the issues are too big, and you don't realise that if everyone does just something, that all adds up to some big impact in life. And so it's just an amazing honour to now champion this amazing movement called Red Frog with thousands of volunteers that are involved every year. And it's just one of my greatest honours and greatest privilege to still be involved with all these young champions coming through, doing far bigger stuff than what I ever did at their age. And mate, it is an absolute privilege.
Well, there you go. I do miss my mullet. Absolutely got shaved for charity, but the price you got to pay. So now it's 70,000 schoolies in over 17 locations. Also 1,200 volunteers from all around Australia. We do 3 islands in Fiji, we do Bali as well, which is amazing. We have a crack team that head to Bali every year, and 30 of them go over there, and there's about 5,000 Aussies over the couple of weeks, and they'll literally find kids that have actually drunk methanol instead of alcohol, where their tongue starts to go white, their eyes start to burn, and they don't get out of their system, it can actually kill them. And so we airlift them to the Darwin from the International Medical Centre in Bali. Amazing job the guys do there. We also do the 3 Islands in Fiji, as I mentioned, with teams over there, but we go all around Australia and another 17 locations. We actually talked to 68,000 in our high school education programs who are going to schools and all around this region as well, and teach them how not to turn your parents into grandparents over Schoolies Week and how not to get evicted from your hotel room as well. But we also have a thing called the Red Frog Hotline, and last year we had 8,597 call-outs on the Red Frog Hotline. It's just amazing. You do get some pretty classic call-outs on the Red Frog Hotline too, as kids are ringing up just a bit lonely, wanting a chat at night time. But in those 8,000 calls, we had 1,936 were for random acts of pancakes, where our teams go up into the hotel rooms making pancakes in their drinking sessions. It gets in the preloading session. That's where most of the damage is done. So we put food in them while they're drinking, but it gets the team right place, right time. We're literally making pancakes in one unit, and all this water's coming out on the tile floor. We're going, what's going on here? And old mate was so drunk, he'd passed out in the shower, flooding the whole unit. So the team went in and saved his life basically there. But it gets us in there, putting food in them, but also to see who's passed out in what room or who's doing some crazy stuff on those balconies. But the teams also, we had 1,633 walk home requests through our call centre and transport requests as well. And walk homes has been a game changer for the Red Frog teams. Over Australia, it's about 5,000 walk homes we do. In fact, we broke a record last year. One team did 36.5 Ks in walk homes. Should be called Red Frog biggest loser over that time. It's just incredible. But in that, we've seen a 75% reduction in sexual assaults as teams are getting to young people early, passed out down the beach or not with a good group, and getting them home safely to their friend's place. So the early intervention has been amazing. But the team's got to 608 alcohol intoxes in rooms, but 133 drug ODs and drug-related the team's got to last year. Overall, though, we are seeing a big shift in youth culture. In fact, the last Schoolies Week was probably one of the healthiest we've seen in 5 years. There are so many more non-drinkers now. In fact, probably half of Schoolies Week aren't drinking, which is amazing. We rock into rooms and they go, oh, you just want to play Uno? We go, sure. So, and it means that when you've got more designated sober people, they're ringing earlier, so there's less things that escalate. So overall, there's some good positive shifts in youth culture, but what isn't shifting the right way is mental health related. And on our hotline, we had 86 mental health related call outs. And unfortunately, some do escalate where young people are thinking about permanent solutions to a temporary problem and having negative thoughts over that time. And on the Gold Coast in particular, the Queensland Health has set up this amazing thing called a mental health triage, where as we find young people that are struggling, we take them down to see clinicians straight away. And they've set up a great referral area and also a great place where you can take your mates and chill out and just mentally chill out as well, which is so important. But now also, not only in schoolies, we actually do university parties. We look after 400,000 in university parties. We're doing pub crawls and club crawls and toga parties, exchanges, recoveries, doing hydration stations and those. We do coffee crawls instead of pub crawls. We do preload pancakes up in the resident colleges, games nights, a whole range of stuff as well. But then we also are doing high school after parties. We're getting invited to the kick-ons after formal parties and after rugby carnivals, particularly one up in Toowoomba Way. We did a couple of years back. It's been amazing in the early intervention for sexual assaults as well. We had a young girl come up to the pancake station on this big property. We set up random acts of pancakes. We have water stations, lighting towers on this property, about 500 young people there. And this young girl comes up and goes, oh, you know, can I have some pancakes? But as she was chatting, this guy came over and started leading her off. But the team was really sharp and saw what was happening and said, oh, do you want pancakes? She goes, oh, that'd be great, pancakes. She comes back. By that time, we found her girlfriends, and they did realise they didn't even know who this guy was and got her away safely. Just those sliding door moments are amazing. We're also doing heaps in skate parks. We've got a program called Skate Park Shepherds. There's 1,764 skate parks in Australia. We want one person to adopt every park to create safe places in those skate parks. And we rock up and we have set up a Red Frog marquee, water station, pancakes, putting some beats on, creating safe places to skate. It was actually out in Alice Springs, and I was talking to some parents out there, And I just spoke at an event and they come up and said, Andy, it's great what you're doing in skate parks. Our son was one of the top skaters in Alice Springs. But now he got, through the skate park, got into drugs, into crack. Now he's an addict and he's in Alice Springs prison. We visit him every week. He goes, keep going with what you're doing. We believe skate parks need to be a safe place. We've got a great skate park shepherd program. We also do sporting events as well, to a whole range of different events around Australia. In fact, it's over 1.4 million Aussies we look after. Why? Because I ride a skateboard. Why? Because, I just started skating with some young skaters a couple of hours a week. Did you know every one of us has gifts and talents and skills? Every one of us has a role to play to make a difference in our world. And sometimes we get overwhelmed. We see everything in the media and go, oh, how can I make a difference? It's like we see mental health issues and drug and alcohol issues and youth crime and all these things, but how can I make a difference? But everyone has something in their hand to make a difference. So what I'm going to look at today is some keys on how you can make a difference in your world for good and for God. How you can make a difference in your life. So let's have a look at Boss Frog's top tips for making a difference. Number one is this. Doing something is better than nothing. Doing something is better than nothing. See, when I drove past that 7-Eleven at night, I wasn't a youth worker, I wasn't a mental health clinician, I wasn't a mental health nurse, I wasn't a counsellor, I was just studying accounting at uni. What I could do is take those kids skateboarding week after week, month after month, year after year. See, if everyone does a little bit, it adds up to become a big answer in our world. In fact, you don't have all the answers, but you are part of the answer. As we partner with others, we can make a difference. But my challenge to you today is what's in your hand to make a difference. For me, it was a skateboard. For you, it could be a basketball. You might start a bit of a basketball comp with some local kids down your local neighbourhood, starting some 3-on-3 comps. It could be a gift of baking, or you might be the next master chef in your area. You might start baking 100 of the best muffins known to mankind and drop them down to the local chaplain in the school. Do you know what Tuesdays be known with the local school? Muffin Tuesdays. As there's kids hanging out for the brekkie program, these 100 freshly baked muffins, you're literally impacting hundreds of kids every week. Why? Because you bake. So it might be IT might be your gift. You might be skilled in IT world and you might go to the local community care arm and local op shops and say, hey, can I revise your social media platforms to get a much bigger scope of people that you're reaching to double or triple the sales in the op shops to feed back into the community care arm? It could be music, could be a gift. You might be a skilled muso. I know there's great places like aged care homes with so many lonely people in them. You might grab a few mates and some guitars, go down and play some tunes for the oldies down there. What a great audience. No matter how bad you are, they can't move. What a great audience to hone your gifts and skills. But see, it doesn't matter what we do, as long as we do something. Second point is this, to make a difference in our world and impact our world, you can do anything you want in life if you include others. You can do anything you want in life if you include others. And we find this at schoolies. We can't do schoolies by ourselves. We need AMBOs, we need police, we need Beyond Blues mental health training, Allens and their 24 tonnes of red frogs they donate. We need volunteer organisations, Rosie's, Drug Arm, Queensland Police, and together we could have a red hot go. By ourselves, we'd get owned. We couldn't do it. And I think one of the healthiest places you can get to life is this, is I can't do it by myself. As soon as you get to that point, you then need others and you value others. And don't try to do everything yourself. You're not designed to do everything yourself. You're designed to work as a team. You can achieve a lot more as a team. I'm a mad sports person and I love State of Origin season. And being a ramp at Queensland, I'm so passionate about Queensland. But no matter how talented Cameron Munster is, if we threw him on the field with 13 New South Wales players, we get absolutely slaughtered. But if we put some forward pack around Cameron Munster, some centres, some wingers, a fullback, suddenly we can have a red hot go at having a win. By yourself, you're limited. By yourself, you can't have a win in life. You must include others. And to need others and value others is so important to achieve big things in life. Also, too, to make a difference in our world for good and for God, I believe one of the key principles is this, to learn the art of being second. To learn the art of being second. In other words, putting others first and you second. A big work we do is in university residential colleges where there's a lot of international students that come to Australia and they don't know too many people over here. They're away from families for the first time. Some families have sacrificed everything to get their young person here to give them a fresh start or a better start. But in that, what I do is I activate the principle of learning the art of being second to actually reach out to university students to make them feel welcome and invite them into other people groups or friendship groups. I learned this principle of being second. For example, if I want to go to the movies and see the latest Marvel movie and smash some 25-cent wings on Wednesday, I'll message the uni boys up in the uni res, and if they can't go, I just go with my mates. If I want to chill out with a coffee after work and smash some nachos and play some Monopoly Deal, I'll message the uni boys first. If they can't make it, just go with my mates. If I want to go see the Reds have a run around at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane and I get some tickets, I'll message the uni boys first. If they can't go, just go with my mates. Or if I want to go for a skate and bomb some car parks with my skating and get chased by security on the weekend, I'll message the uni boys first. If they can't make it, go with my mates. See, what margins do you have in your life for others? Is your life just all about you, your friends, what you want to do? We need to expand our worlds. We need to create margins for others. And learning the art of being second, including people in what you love to do, is such a key to expand your world and have more influence in your world to be a bigger impact in your world. And finally, this last point is everything big starts small. And the power of little is great. The power of little is great. I'm so thankful for 3 hours of my week, I stopped and skated with skaters. Week after week, month after month, year after year. If I'm really honest, the rest of the week was all about me, my career, my mates, my Reds membership. But for 3 hours of my week, I just surrendered my skateboard every Friday night to that skate park. I'm so thankful for doing that. Everything big starts small. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in this amazing job and movement called Red Frogs. That is just an absolute dream job. See, your dream starts small. But where can you start? What can you start doing? But it's also the little things you do for people make a big impact in life. And this was evident when I was running my youth club. There was a kid named Davey, and he had a head-on with this car on his treadly, put him through the front windshield, and he was in hospital for 5 weeks with a broken pelvis. And I got my club leader, Damo, I said, mate, get a card from the servo, all right on it. We got this car, we said, mate, we're just praying for you, buddy, and for your total restoration and recovery, and all wrote a message in it, dropped it up the hospital. I ran into this kid about 9 years ago, and he comes up, he goes, Andy, do you remember me from youth club days? I go, mate, I do. So my mate said, how you going? He goes, oh, good now, but I wasn't good. I got into the drugs for about 9 years and it messed me up. There were 2 times I wanted to give up, 2 times where I was just about to do something really dumb. And just before I went through with those 2 things, I remember that card you guys gave me and I couldn't go through with it. I just want to thank you for saving my life. Mate, floored me, absolutely floored me. Like all the hairs on the back of my neck stood up and all the hairs on my back stood up too, which is quite a few. And a $1.50 card saved this kid's life. Never negate the power of little things. If you want to make big impact in people's lives, it's all about little things and it's all about little amounts of time, consistent. So in summary, to make a difference in your world, what's in your hand? For me, it was a skateboard. Well, what's in your hand? You could start doing something. Doing something's better than nothing. Also, you can't do this by yourself. You need to team up with others. Find others of like mind. Find others around you that you can connect with and work as a team. Also, too, learn the art of being second. What margins do you have for others in your life? If your life so caught up with just your little world, but what are the margins you can have for others? And start small. Everything big starts small. I just want to pray for you today and pray that God will bless your family and bless you, but also bring revelation this week that, hey, what's in your hand? How can I make a difference and how can I start small? Let's pray. Father, I thank you for these amazing people. I thank you we're in such a blessed country. God, that you've given us so many gifts and talents. You've given us such a rich country. But I thank you for the revelation that our gifts and talents aren't just for us, they're for others as well. And God, even prompt us this week to create more margins for others. Where we're being selfish, where we're being self-seeking, God, let us not be about ourselves, but about others. And God, I pray that out there's some amazing futures, some amazing potential yet to be realized through the power of doing little and with what's in our hand. And Father, we thank you for all your goodness. We thank you for a blessing on every family listening today. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Thank you.